Hi, I'm Shivani. Welcome to the Curly Bookworm. So today I want to talk to you about a book that I read. So I want to do a book talk, which is the first that I've done or attempted. So I'm excited about it. This book is called Three Dark Crowns by Kendare Blake. It is a high fantasy novel set on an island called Finnburn. On this island of Finnburn, the person who holds this crown is a queen. And so the women of this world sort of own this world. And every few years, there's this bunch of triplets that are born off of the current queen. And I mean, not every few years, but basically, like, once in her lifetime, she has these triplets, I think, because the world is so weird. I don't even know, but I think. So there are these triplets that are born, and they're separated at the age of like 6, and they're taken away and trained in their specialties. They are raised by different sects on this island, and then they're basically brought together when they're 19, and they have to fight each other for the crown to the death. So let's look at a couple of things in this book. I'm not giving anything away at this point. They were basically naturalists, elementals, and poisoners. Poisoners are a sect of people who have the ability to poison and not be poisoned back. The naturalists work in a way where they are able to talk to animals, they're able to grow things, that's sort of their magical power. And the elementals are able to change the weather, so like basically cause an earthquake or cause a storm, basically control elements of the weather or nature. So it sounds kind of interesting, right? But, unpopular opinion alert, I did not like this book that much. This book disappointed the beep out of me. It's true, a lot of booktubers talk about how great this book is, but I didn't feel it at all. I was so excited about the premise. I was so excited to find out about this island where women rule and they have to fight each other for the throne. And it almost reminded me of like Game of Thrones. And I was so excited about it, but I feel like you just let me down, Kendare Blake. I mean, it wasn't character driven, so the characters weren't really like really strong people. It wasn't plot driven, so there wasn't so much happening in the plot that made it really interesting and unpronounceable. And it wasn't world driven either. And the author had picked such a great world to sort of work out of. So I was just so heartbroken because I expected so much from this book and I just felt like it didn't live up to it. I want to talk about a bunch of things in the book that did not work for me. There aren't any spoilers here, but you could stop at this point, read the book, and come back, or you could find out why you should not read this book. I'm not asking you to not read it, okay? I feel like a lot of people did really enjoy it, but if you do have your doubts after listening to this, maybe you do want to listen to what I have to say next. So number one, there was like zero interest to go on. It just dragged and dragged and dragged. 2/3 of the book, I had to motivate myself to read. I had to basically tell myself, hey, a lot of people like this book, just carry on. And I did. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't like, I kept thinking to myself, hey, I could be reading, I don't know, a series of unfortunate events, which I was also reading on the side. Number two, I felt like they had this great world and they just didn't build on it at all. It's like when someone makes you smell the food but doesn't like give it to you and you're just like, hey, that's just so unfair. The premise and the world was so exciting, but everything about it was just so half-baked in the sense that I don't know how they have the powers that they have. What is the history to these powers? Where did it come from? What was the history to the island? So I hear that is part 2 of this book, and maybe they'll explain it then, but I feel like you had several opportunities while these things were being talked about. Even if you wanted to keep the mystery, you could have used those opportunities to sort of just touch on where did these powers come from, what is the history of this island, what are the limits to these powers. The other thing that I did not like, which is number 3, is the characters or the sisters in this book. So the 3 sisters, Catherine from the Poisoners, Mirabelle, who was from the Elementals, and the other girl whose name I cannot remember. And now you know how little I was affected by these characters. I mean, so the thing with this book is that it always takes you this far and then it just stops, and that's just annoying. For example, Catherine is kind of a vulnerable character. She's not strong at all, she's not built like that at all, and so her learning curve is really about discovering herself. But I just feel like I didn't get to know her at all. I didn't love her. I didn't want her to win. I didn't support her, and I felt like that about all three of the sisters. I just didn't feel invested at any point of time, and that really pisses me off. Number 4, the romance was just annoying. First of all, there's a triangle, which is just, are you serious? Why? Why is everybody twilighting? We have one twilight and that is more than enough. So anyway, as you can tell, my overall rating for this is clearly like below average. But yeah, I just want to make it clear, I'm not saying I'm the word on the word. So read it if you feel like the premise still interests you. I feel like I would have still read it if I'd heard a bad review, just to sort of see if I liked the style. Coming up next is another review, so keep your eye open for that. In the meanwhile, you can continue to do the subscribing, the sharing, the commenting, and all of that jazz. I will be back again next week with another video. Bye.
Miss Federine's Home for Peculiar Children. I'm